So this brings us to the shoulder. The shoulder is a versatile joint. It's an unsung hero though. It's like the Robert Downey Jr. of joints. It's versatile, it can give Oscar-winning performances. But you push it too far, you push it too hard, it can all come crashing down. And you can spend 6 months of long, hard, painful rehab to get you back on track. Now, Robert Downey Jr. has big scale movie producers to bring him back on track and start his career ever expanding. You, on the other hand, have people like me or our clinic. So what can we do to stop this disaster? What can we do to keep you on track? What do we need? Well, if you want to stay stable, you need friends. You need friends to keep it real. You need friends to keep you on track. You need friends to keep you down to earth. Now, luckily for the shoulder, it has some 4 good friends, 4 close friends. These friends are the rotator cuffs. The rotator cuffs consist of 4 things. 1. Supraspinalis, infraspinalis, subscapularis, and teres minor. Now, what you can see, they all act together to form a cuff around the shoulder. This keeps the shoulder strong, this keeps the shoulder stable, this keeps the shoulder in line. But why does it need so much stability? Why does it need so strong a support? Now, what we have to do is have a look at a bit of anatomy. We're going to look at the shoulder bones, the main ones. The humerus, which is the arm bone, and the scapula, which is otherwise known as the shoulder blade. Now, in books, it'll often be analogous to a golf ball on a tee. The reason is the humerus is a ball at the end of the bone, and it goes into the socket of the scapula. Now, this is the golf ball into the tee. Now, the problem is that it's a large ball or head of the humerus on a relatively small socket, which means it can easily move. So having a strong cuff-like structure is really helpful. The second issue, though, is if you look a bit closer, it isn't quite like a T in the golf. In fact, if you look closer at the glenoid, you find it looks a bit like a pear, which means it has a small surface which goes onto a larger surface at the bottom. So starts at the top small and it goes larger inferiorly. Now the reason for it, if you look at the shoulder, the thing that most people notice about it is you have this joint called the clavicle, this large bone. So as the shoulder moves up, you can quickly see there's not quite enough space for the shoulder to get through. So what has to happen is there has to be a way the axis, or where the actual main movement of the joint occurs, changes. And that's one of the things the rotator cuffs do. Although they're called rotator cuffs, they don't really rotate you. In fact, what happens is other bigger muscles are better than that. You have the pecs, you have the lats, you have the delts. They're much more powerful, strong muscles which help to create big movements. The rotator cuffs are different. A good analogy of the rotator cuffs is to think of the big muscles as a big man climbing up a step ladder. As the man climbs up the step ladder, the higher he goes, the more movement occurs. The ladder starts to move. So what you need is someone smaller at the bottom to hold the ladder still. The rotator cuffs are that small person at the bottom. The rotator cuffs are small muscles holding the ladder together, keeping you stable as you rotate the shoulder around. So this brings us to why we want to do this video. At Orchard Health Clinic, we try to do more than just look at the typical diagnosis. We try to do more than just say, okay, let's do the typical rehab. We try to make you part of the process. And how we do that is we look at things a bit differently. We don't just look at the what, the supraspinalis tendonitis, the impingement. We look at the why, the how. This is important. Because sometimes people don't know what they don't know. People focus on, let's say, the tennis causing injury, or the golf causing injury, or something like that. But in fact, most of the time the injury is caused at work. They sit down all day, they sit forward. As they sit forward, these muscles at the back will start stretching more. The muscles at the front will shorten. So over time, those wonderful rotator cuffs, those friends that give you support, can't work properly. They're pushed too far. You then want to put your arms up. You then want to do your tennis. But because they're not quite working together, the shoulder will start moving, will start being restricted, may start to impinge. So the first thing we do is, one, make you aware of what you don't know. Two, mobility. One of the things I hear people say is, my trainer said I'm too rounded. I need to strengthen myself backwards. But that makes no sense to us. The reason it makes no sense is because it's polarizing. You're going from the left all the way to the right. But what you want to do is to go to neutral. You want to go to the middle. You don't want to go from one bad place to another bad place. So again, we tell you to go from awareness to mobility and to get you so you can go into neutral. If you can't get to neutral, you can't use your shoulder properly. Once you're in neutral, we want you to be stable in that position. So we talk about isometric or static stability. Stability with no moving parts, very safe. After that, dynamic stability. Stability when you're moving. Can you move stuff such as these bits, but keep these bits still? So there's a slightly different stability. And then finally, can we get you back to doing functional exercises? Exercises that are real. How many people move bands? How many people do silly movements with their arms? They don't. You want to move your arms to play tennis. You want to move your arms to lift a beer bottle. You want to move your arms to play golf. You don't want to move your arms just to waggle them for the sake of waggling. So we emphasize you train a function, not a muscle. So at Orchard Health Clinic, we are here to give you not only the advice and the treatment, but the education so you understand yourself to a higher degree. That you can not only get out of pain, but you have ways to stop the pain coming back. That you're not only going to be pain-free at Orchard Health Clinic. We bring all this together, not just to get you out of pain, but to really make you better.